I'll tell you a story that happened 7, 8 years ago now. I'm not great with years, but I'm going to say 7 or 8 years ago. I had a lady from another country come and visit our church, and it was an adult Bible study night. We did adult Bible studies back then on Wednesday night, and she came forward immediately after my lesson and said, Pastor, would you pray for me? And I said, sure. She said, I'm not feeling well. I've got something going on with my stomach. And so I reached over and put my hand very gently on her forehead and began to pray for her. When I did, her eyes rolled back in her head. All I could see was the whites of her eyes, and she started growling like a man. And of course, it was not my first rodeo. I knew right then, okay, it's going to be a long evening. So I assembled a very quick team of people that I've worked with in the past. A number of the people that are with me have been with me 10, 15 years, and I've trained them. And I said, I need you guys to stay a little while. So we told the congregation, you guys might want to go out and, go to the restaurant, wherever you're going to go, and leave. We've got some situations here we have to deal with. So she had two girls. One was 6 and one was 3 at the time. And I assigned another young married couple to take the 2 daughters to avoid any trauma on them, to take them to a different part of the building. They walked out of the sanctuary and closed that door, went across the hallway and into a smaller room that we use for venues that seats about 100 people. And so we had tables in there with toys. And so this couple went in and closed all the doors and gave them a safe place to play. So we started dealing with this woman. And when you're dealing with demons, the way I do it, I'm not saying this has to be done every time, but I ask the entity, what is your name? I think I was shocked the first few times that I did that because of the names: suicide, hatred, unforgiveness, rage, murder, mayhem. And these are legitimate names that their names are their assignments. My name is suicide. My name is, like, for example, in the Bible, my name is Legion, for we are many. Okay, which happened on Gadara, island of the Gadarenes. Okay, yeah. My name is Legion, for we are many. Okay, so we had cast several demons out of this lady. And what she had done is she was from – I'm just going to go ahead and say it. She was from Cuba, and so people approached her and said, would you like to live in America? And she said yes. And I said, well, if you will let us put our spirits in you, then we'll send you for free. And so she went for the session, whatever it was, woke up 3 days later without any clothes on, laying in their temple, and was very demon-possessed. And they sent her on to America. So anyway, to make a long story short, we're casting demons out, and I get to one that is mocking us. And another thing that they'll do many times is they will speak in an ancient language. You say, what is your name? And they'll give you something in an ancient language. Or they'll mock you and say, I don't have to tell you. I'm not coming out. I own this person. They belong to me. And so you can't be intimidated. Or they'll say, you don't have the power. They'll laugh at you. They'll cuss you. You don't have the power. Better men than you have tried to take me out, on and on. So you just have to stay after it. What is your name? What is your name? And not converse with them. So anyway, after quite a bit of mocking, I got firm and I said, what is your name? And this demon screamed, snake. And when it screamed snake, she fell over on the floor and started wiggling like a snake. And I would say it would have had to have been done with supernatural assistance, because I've never seen a body move like that. She literally slithered like a snake across the floor without using her hands or feet. Her hands were down by her side. Her toes were pointed, and she's slithering like a snake. Well, we don't allow, at least my group that I work with, we don't allow a lot of demonstrations. So we just very gently got down beside her and stopped her from slithering without hurting her and held her down. While we're holding her down, within 30 seconds, the door swings open and the man that's watching her daughters from the other part of the building comes running across about 40 feet across the front of our altar area and said, "What's going on in here?" And I looked up at him and I said, "Why? Why are you asking?" He said, "Because we're watching her daughters and her 6-year-old was working with a game, just fell out of her chair and started slithering across the floor like a snake. So when we stopped the mother from slithering like a snake, the daughter simultaneously fell on the floor and began to manifest and slither like a snake." Now, I'm either crazy, I'm 3 French fries short of a Happy Meal, my driveway doesn't go all the way to the garage, or I'm telling you the truth. That world is very real. I wished everybody in your audience had a front row seat when an entity from those other dimensions comes forward and starts trying to take over the eyes and the mouth and start working the body. They have a very difficult time. When they come forward, when I command them, "Come forward now and tell me who you are," they'll start taking over the eyes. I've seen the eyes spin in opposite directions and one be looking up and one be looking down while the spirit's trying to adjust. The strangest thing you've ever seen in your life. A friend of mine, young guy, was pastoring a church in Minnesota, and he lived in the church. He actually lived in an apartment in the back of the church. And so it was real late one night, and a couple of young guys started beating. They knew he lived there, and they started beating on the door. And so he went down and answered the door. It was well after midnight, and he's like, "What are you guys doing?" And they're crying, and they're like, "You need to let us in. We're in trouble, and we need help." So he said, "What's going on?" And he's holding them outside because he doesn't know. Are these kids going to rob him? What's happening? So he said, "What's going on? You got to tell me what's going on." They said, "Well, there were 3 of us, and we were playing with a Ouija board tonight. We went out and we were playing in one of their backyards. They were playing with the Ouija board. And this entity started answering them. And they finally asked the entity what its name was, and it gave them a really strange name. And one of the kids said, "What the blank kind of name is that?" And it answered, "I'm a demon." And this kid started yelling at the demon and making fun of him and making fun of the other kids. And "This is all stupid. And you're not there. And I don't buy this." And the 2 boys said that the Ouija board literally floated up off the ground several inches and then flew at this kid that was mocking the Ouija board and slapped him in the face and literally rolled him backwards. And when the kid stopped rolling, he sat up and he was growling and he started cussing and coming after the boys and tearing at them. And so they started running. They were running all over the neighborhood trying to get away from this kid. And they realized this is real. This kid, it's not our friend anymore. This is a demon trying to hurt us bad. So they ran to the only person they thought could help them was this guy in the church, this pastor. And the pastor was wondering, are these kids telling me the truth? But he looked out, and somewhere across the parking lot, not too far away, there were some bushes or whatever. And this kid was hiding behind the bushes, growling and carrying on. So somehow, some way, they went. He called another preacher that got up, got his clothes on, drove over there, and they went out and got this kid and got him to come into the church. And they set him down and cast the demons out of him. So, my advice to all of your followers, the people that are listening to this broadcast, is, well, let me just be very frank about it. If you've never played with one, don't. If you have one in your home, get rid of it as fast as you can. Don't ever play with it. It's not something to be played with. Many instances of people becoming demon possessed through Ouija boards.